Logic and Reason starts now. Yeah. Welcome to the show, everybody. About to get into it. Welcome to Logic and Reason. I'm your host, Devo Primo, and I'm joined by Mel Melissa. How you doing, Mel Melissa?
Hello. I'm doing well. I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing is the real question. We have a birthday tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, sorry for screaming at yourself.
Part of the reason why I'm a little sluggish today. I'm full and stuffed, full of birthday food.
Yeah. Were you surprised?
I was surprised. I did not expect that to happen. Just randomly showed up after work and told me to hurry up and get in the car. I almost felt like a kidnapped person.
Oh, goodness.
And just held hostage.
Yeah.
Taking me to strange places. So.
You enjoyed yourself, and we made it just in time for you all for a great show tonight.
Yes. What a great way to spend a birthday with all of our favorite viewers. We do love you all. So much so that you have to remember to like and subscribe.
Yeah, you know we had to say it again and again and again, and tap the notification bell so you don't ever miss a new episode.
Tippity tap tap tippy.
All right, we're gonna get into it. We'll stop being silly. Welcome.
So, all right, you guys saw the title of this episode. It seems like everything is so much more expensive these days. Rent went up dramatically for a lot of people. Gas, and every time I go to the pump, I'm always like, man, what is that? Right? I'm constantly driving to different gas stations trying to find the lowest price. The grocery store, I was used to just balling out, just putting whatever in the cart. Now I have to actually look at the prices of the items. I'm like, oh, wait
and
a minute.
Close too, because before we looked at the prices.
Yes,
we did. And we'd make little comparisons. Now the comparisons all seem the same, even for generic.
Yes, even generic is getting uppity. Right.
Yes.
I forgot what the cost of eggs was because I stopped buying eggs.
I did. I had to pull an old school move. I don't want to out myself, but I'm going to out myself that an old school college move, went by the parental's house and shopped in the pantry.
That's messed up. That's messed up.
I was visiting, say hello. And okay. Anyways,
that's
too
bad.
old for this, for that.
Hopefully not listening to the show.
No.
Okay. But anyway, so things are a lot more expensive. Today we're going to be talking about, inflation. And then we've been hearing things about a possible recession coming up. So we wanted to kind of get some more information on that. So according to this guy named Wayne from Forbes Advisor, he said that part of what we are seeing with inflation is a combination of pent-up consumer demand, supply chain disruptions, and a light labor market has driven these prices to go up. I remember last year we saw a lot of different factories and production houses randomly blow up. Now, I say randomly. I don't know how random that is.
Yeah.
You had random, like, what was it? There was a chicken factory that blew up last year. There was a food production, like the processed foods.
Yeah.
That blew up. I know there was a shortage of baby formula that happened last year.
Yep.
That seems kind of unorthodox. How do you
have a shortage of that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say about that?
What are you going to say about that?
Maybe our listeners know by now. Every episode they're going to be like, yeah, she's just a conspiracy theorist. But, I think that's purposeful.
Oh?
Okay, I think there's a little bit more to it behind it.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yes, I don't think
how do factories all of a sudden blow up?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of strange. So
well, if the podcast all of a sudden stops, y'all, and somehow all of our audio stops right now, we know what happened.
Exactly. So yeah, it's been interesting. So there's been some markups. I think the latest figure on energy prices has gone up at least 13% over 12 months. We're looking at a 7% increase for shelter costs. I think shelter includes like mortgage, rents, things of that nature, according to this report. And so we're looking at some very unfortunate things. A lot of people are feeling this. And
it's actually not funny at all.
It's actually not. And then towards the end of last year and in the beginning of this year, we started to see all these layoffs. I mean, I guess people were laying off folks before, but now it seems to be upping the ante. Google ended up being the biggest story, right? Where, they kind of did like a teenage boy slash college guy who was like just ghosted people. By the way, your services are no longer needed through email.
Oh, yeah. That was so unprofessional.
Very much so.
Because some people are
strange.
on a not vacation, what's it called? A work trip. Mm-hmm. And they're in the middle of the work trip. They wake up to go to their next meeting in another city where they're not from.
Yes.
And they have an email. Or actually, no, before they had the email, they had to go to their personal email because they were locked out of their accounts. Mm-hmm. And then their personal email had the information that, oh, no, you no longer work for us.
Yes.
So unprofessional.
That's how we do things at Google. So I'm going to share my screen here. So we have layoffs are near fivefold so far this year. As tech companies leading the way on all these layoffs. So we're saying this is about a 15% increase from year to date, which, it's where is the end on this? I don't maybe. Well, actually, I had a real interesting question about this. I didn't know if these jobs were fluff jobs,
Okay.
were like non-essential to the business, but maybe you had some excess funds, so you're like, why not? Let's go ahead and just hire, some more people. And then as things started to get tight, they're like, ooh. But it's so weird for Google for things to get tight because Google's so integral to business operations.
Yep.
Right? If you're running
business, personal. I mean, who doesn't use Google?
Right. So it's like,
drop a one in the chat if you use Google.
Yes, please drop a line in the chat.
I'm about to myself.
But it's just, it's so strange to me because when I think about like whenever you want to advertise your business, I mean, every business now has to make a Google profile page. They've added Google Screened and Google, I forgot the other name for it, but for services and for products, if you want to do anything with search, I mean, Google owns like 90 something % of all searches.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Yahoo and Microsoft Edge with Bing, but
of course, and they're very relevant. People still have some Yahoo emails, but I find it very rare sometimes that people don't have, in addition to a Yahoo account, a Gmail, a Google email account as well.
So yeah, it's weird for them to be feeling a pinch, and I guess mainly some of that has to do with the fact that a lot of businesses are probably pulling back their marketing budgets.
Yeah,
they're not spending as much on cost per click.
So that wouldn't be one of the fluff jobs then.
No.
Yeah,
but the people who are getting laid off though, right? Like
yeah.
I imagine Google's not laying off their engineers.
Absolutely not.
Right, they still have to maintain their software and whatever it is that makes Google.
Yeah. And they never revealed what type of process they used to lay off people. I keep wanting to say fire, but to lay off. I mean, the fact was the same. People were devastated. They've obviously lost income, and the way that they did it, because a lot of times it's the way you do things, right? Why are you informed by a robot or a computer that you were fired or you've been laid off from your job, and you have a direct contact?
Maybe because they laid off their HR department, and so the AI had to step up.
Is that what we're doing
You're
now?
The next man up.
iRobot?
Yes.
All right, let's go to the next.
His name is like Simon or something. With rate hikes continuing, the companies are reining in costs. Large-scale layoffs are likely to continue, according to this article here.
Okay.
And so yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to get better as time progresses. So we wanted to look at the timeline. We wanted to kind of figure out, well, when did all this stuff kind of really go down hard?
Okay.
And so it looks like for this month, Google, of course, Redfin, Apple, Netflix, Hulu, all of these tech companies are just laying off people en masse.
Yeah.
Apple's actually very surprising having this. Bloomberg reported on April 3rd that Apple's laying off a small number of roles in their corporate retail teams. Okay, well, they don't really need to be on this. A small number? What is a small number? What does that even mean?
Yeah, I don't like the language they use there. That's relative.
Okay.
Do they mean small 100 or small 5?
Yeah, okay. So this is kind of overblowing it because there's a handful here, a handful there. Oh, but these are executives. Oh, okay.
Well, that actually, a handful of executives with the salaries they're getting paid,
Oh,
that makes a dent in the budget.
Different. So shout outs to Netflix for cutting off some executives in the beginning of quarter one and continuing April 18th. They're laying off some executives. Interesting. Roku is still relevant. How many of you guys have Roku? Put a comment if you actually use Roku. Apparently, they're laying off folks too. They got on March 3rd or 30th, excuse me. They're letting go roughly around 200 employees, 6% of its workforce. The company has laid off 200 back in November as well. So they seem to be just that's kind of quick, laying off 400 people in the span of a couple of months.
Yeah.
That means your revenue is not looking too hot. Again, shout outs to anybody. Put in the comment section if you actually list or use Roku. I'm not really sure what Roku. I mean, I know it's like a. You know what it is?
Reminds me of something like the Apple TV things, but I'm not familiar as well.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
Disney's on this list, right? March 27th. In an internal memo to employees, Disney revealed that there will be 3 rounds of layoffs. This first beginning this week. The job cuts will impact approximately 7,000 employees, according to the announcement in February.
Do you think that's going to... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think that's going to make a dent or help them? Because I have my own suggestions for Disney.
What are your suggestions for
Why
Disney?
don't y'all make good content?
Ooh. Okay.
And stop relying on the backlog or the stuff that you purchased.
Oh, boy.
Or back in the 90s, appropriate content for, age-appropriate content for children and for families to watch together without being traumatized by seeing full frontals and back at everything that we don't want to see. Maybe you make more money and have more subscriptions. But I digress because you still have, that's where I watch Grogu from Star Wars. Mandalorian. Yeah. Which
Mandalorian is somewhat in question right now because I imagine the main actor, what's his name, Pascal, is probably exhausted for doing both Mandalorian and The Last of Us at the same time. Oh my gosh,
those are such amazing roles and stories.
This guy's going ham right now.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
But Disney, you can't rely on him to make your whole budget.
Yes.
Like, come on now.
I'm going to rely on this dude and his baby. That's gonna pull us all up. Honestly, without the Mandalorian, I don't know what Star Wars would have been dead. Honestly, it's completely off subject, but just go on a small tangent because I was a huge Star Wars fan.
Okay.
Massive.
Yeah. Oh, the originals, yes. Mm-hmm.
Right, and so the last 3 that they came up with were horrendous.
They had, yeah.
I was like, what is this garbage? And there was so much potential, especially because Finn, I was like, ooh, a black dude. Let's get it, right? Like I was excited and then I was like, okay, he's a stormtrooper. It's kind of weird, right? That doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to roll with it, right? Maybe they're going to explain it later on. And then and then he, Ray!
I knew that. I didn't want to jump ahead, jump the gun and say that.
Now this guy is just, no, he's always just chasing the white woman.
I was just going to say, if you didn't say it plainly, that's exactly what I was about to tell the audience. Yes, the whole time he ended up, unfortunately, chasing the white woman.
Okay.
And she wasn't even trying to act like he's on the team. She didn't care about him.
She did not care about him at all.
She cared about the enemy, the arch enemy. So, yeah, you're right. It's a complete tangent, so we're not here to talk about that.
Maybe we might have to do a whole episode on Star Wars. That was that broke my spirit. I'm still actually grieving on that, actually.
Yeah. So on the topic of inflation, though, the issues with Disney and their content, that one is not vulgar, but they've also deviated from storylines.
Source material,
yeah, for originals. And it's just like, make a new show.
Can't do it.
Make an original show of your own instead of trying to take old things that have a wide audience that loves the material and trying to change it.
Indeed is also on this list. They're about to lay off about 2,000 employees, 15% of their total staff.
How's the hiring company going to
look? Everybody has to go. Sorry, I mean, look, people aren't.
This has to be a joke.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You would think this would be like Indeed's time. Like, ooh, we're about to kill it, right? Everybody's going to be looking for jobs now. And then they're saying, including the people in this company, sorry, you're going to have to use Indeed.
Yes. Get on that job search. Do you have a profile? Oh, yeah, my company profile here. Oh, no, you no longer work here. Do you have a profile for a job search?
That's so messed up. Oh, man. What is happening with this world?
Yeah.
Twitch is actually laying off people. That's interesting.
How long is this list? Okay.
I'm telling you, the whole tech sector is getting its teeth kicked in right now. Amazon, that's not surprising. I remember I was looking at some balance sheets because I was thinking of possibly buying some Amazon shares.
Yeah.
And they're kind of struggling a little bit. I really thought that they were going to have a good fourth quarter, and that didn't happen. And so this is interesting. I don't know. I would have thought that Amazon would thrive in, this recession type period because people are looking for cheaper items.
Yeah.
I do know that they made a lot of investments. Mm-hmm. And so maybe a lot of that is just debt that they have to pay off.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, maybe that kind of ate away on some of their profits. But that's something to watch. And so they're about to lay off almost 10,000 people.
Gosh. That's sad.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. So interesting. So you heard about 10% of today's total came from the Amazon Web Services. So I'm wondering do any of you guys use Amazon Web Services? I know that's more of like a corporate, product that Amazon offers, like with the cloud and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I wonder what's going to happen with that division. Amazon has really kind of spread themselves in a lot of different avenues. I wonder if this is going to force Amazon to kind of focus in, maybe cut off some of those appendages that they've attached onto themselves to make themselves this monster of a company.
Yeah, and I know AWS had some competition from Microsoft, so I wonder if never mind. I was going to say, I wonder if Microsoft
Shout out to Microsoft. Let's go. Way to have you.
That they laid off, but it looks like they have their own layoff.
Oh, yeah, 10,000. Let's get it. Right? Everybody's getting got. Now, that one's also really interesting because Microsoft is supposed to be trying to compete with NVIDIA when it comes to this AI type stuff. So, it mentions it here. Microsoft laid off an entire team dedicated to guiding AI innovation. Wow. As I just said that, I eat my words.
Man.
That's nuts. Okay. So, yeah, I guess I guess they decided they're not going to fight that fight anymore. NVIDIA, you can have it. We're about to lay off the whole team. Yeah, we're done. Boom, done. Get out of here. All you guys working on AI? Yeah, we don't need that anymore. That's crazy. It's not
some of their stock. Not to put all your business out there, but to put it out there. Has it shown any? I
actually do not own Microsoft stock.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Not individually.
Has it shown any? Have you been watching it?
I've been watching it. It's
any drops. That's what I was trying to say.
It's tracking very similar to most of the tech companies. They're just getting their teeth kicked in right now. Growth stocks in general, they're not having a good time. When someone told me about that, and the reason why is because a lot of these companies live off of borrowing money, and so it's like if money became more expensive to borrow, then they essentially have to retract and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But this is interesting to hear that they've just completely done away with their whole AI team. That doesn't even. Oh wait, let me read that fully in full context. As part of the recent announcements to lay off 10,000 people, Microsoft laid off an entire team dedicated to guiding AI innovation that leads the ethical, responsible, and sustainable outcomes. Yeah. So that's what it really is. They didn't lay off the programming people. They laid off the other folks.
How is there a division dedicated to guiding AI innovation with ethical, responsible, and sustainable outcomes? Like, what does that have to do with the AI innovation?
I guess what they're trying to do is give AI like a moral compass. Hey,
it's a machine.
It is a machine.
Okay.
Maybe it's trying to like make sure that the AI doesn't decide to kill all humans.
Well, yeah, we have several movies that kind of predict that future.
Yeah.
I don't want any part of it.
So maybe that's it. Meta, shout outs to Zuckerberg and Facebook, confirmed that they will be cutting off 10,000 people as well. from their workforce around 5,000 open roles that have been yet to fill. So they are also struggling. Salesforce. I mean, we having some heavy hitters here.
Yeah.
Sirius
These are big
XM.
companies.
ThoughtWorks. Although this one doesn't really surprise me too much.
I'm not familiar with them.
Twitter. I know Twitter has been struggling since Elon Musk has taken over. He's been trying to figure out a way to make Twitter profitable, but I guess Twitter wasn't profitable before. So
yeah, they started off not profitable.
Yeah.
If anything, he started helping them get revenue.
Yeah.
With the blue check marks and like, because you pay for that now.
What is that last sentence there? Since Musk took over Twitter in October last year, the company's headcount has fallen more than 70%.
Well, you had some people who had their ideological problems where they were...
Dude, you like got rid of all of Twitter, almost.
Out with the old, in with the new, let's go. We have a whole new team.
Is that what that is?
New ideas who aren't... Well, actually, I was going to say who don't monitor... not monitor, what is it called? Censorship,
yep.
The censorship thing. But actually, I've heard in recent months that they have tried to censor certain folks who've been saying things that they don't want to hear.
Oh, yeah.
They being the public.
Yeah. Yahoo's on this list. Yeah, I mean, that's... Yahoo's still trying to figure it out, I guess. Affirm. Wow, I'm surprised Affirm is still, like, out here. I mean...
They're hanging on, man.
I'm so upset with Affirm. I bought their stock a minute ago. Now, this has nothing to do with my portfolio. I'm not gonna make this about me. But you guys, I'm honest, right? If I have an attitude towards something or a bias, I just want to make sure you guys are aware that don't listen to me sometimes when it comes to certain stuff because maybe it's personal. This one happens to be personal. I've lost a lot of money with Affirm, and I thought y'all were going to be hot shit, and then all of a sudden, your price tanks down almost to like $20 a share.
Wow.
It used to be $130.
They had their moment. They had their moment in time.
They had a really quick pan in the moment, and now it's not. They're reducing their staff by 19%. I don't know what you guys are going to be moving to. I think you might have to go through a whole shift on their business. I think pay now... Buy now, pay later has room for this, recession economy.
Yeah.
Right? People's wallets are being tight. I think Affirm fits into this. I just don't know if you guys are laying off all your staff, do you have enough people to operate? That would be the only question. Now, this is really surprising. Zoom is cutting off 15% of its staff. Maybe it's because they took on too many people. I mean, I know Zoom was major hot during COVID.
Yeah.
And then now people are starting to want to do physical meetings. Like I know just like with my office, right? Yeah, we still have all the technology we had before, but it's like, yeah, I'm going to meet for lunch.
Yeah.
Right. Let's meet up here, right? And to do face to face. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the future of Zoom is going to be. That's going to be very interesting to kind of see how that evolves, because I think the business sector is probably going to want to still do business in person. I think business in person, Zoom is just not the same. Zoom is very like convenient, and sure, you can have your your pajama bottoms on while you're in a meeting, but I don't know. It's just a little different when stuff is in person.
It is. And more companies have caught up to them, excuse me.
You have more options now. Yeah, you do have more options now. Yeah, that's true. Dell, shout outs to Texas. I do ride for my Texas companies. Dell
Austin,
is one
Texas.
of them. But
we saw that whole massive compound.
Yes, in Austin, tremendous. They're only laying off 5,000 worldwide, so maybe that's not as bad. We're gonna have to stay tuned on that one. Pinterest is also laying off folks. Yeah, shout outs to Pinterest. Revlon, that's
I don't
interesting.
actually know how Pinterest makes money.
I have no idea how Pinterest makes money. That's a great question. That is a tremendous question. I don't ever see ads.
Not to question them, they probably make their good coin. I don't know.
I am very ignorant to that. So, Revlon is Rivian. That they're a car manufacturer with the EV cars.
Okay.
That's interesting. You guys have a lot of work to do as far as keeping up with Tesla. So laying off folks, I'm not sure if that really helps you in the long run. But SoFi That's interesting. Kind of weird. You're a bank or a fintech, and you're laying off folks along with Groupon. PayPal's laying off people. Wow. Spotify, Alphabet, which is Google. We already talked about Google.
Do any of you work for these companies? Let us know.
That's very interesting.
In the chat. Has it been very tense with these layoffs going around?
Right. Has people's been kind of giving you the side eye, like, ooh, I'm not going to be the one getting got.
Yeah.
So speaking of, businesses in general, right? We spend a lot of time with the techs, but the local business, right? We saw a lot of local businesses shut down during COVID.
Yeah.
And one of the businesses that I'm really interested in, because this is going to have a massive impact on small towns in particular, and that is Walmart. So shout outs to SFA. I went to Stephen F. Austin. Most of the shopping I did back in college was at Walmart. As I became a fully fledged adult, I learned that Walmart is not the way. And I upgraded to Target. But, I understand the full impact of Walmart. And part of the issues of Walmart going into different places is it sometimes causes this effect where you start to outcompete the small mom and pops in that town. They start shutting down.
Yeah.
Right. So one of these ladies here from in Investopedia, she was just talking about Walmart and its effects, and she mentions here that one of Walmart's most detrimental effects is lowering wages in the local economies they enter. Right. They're not really known to give people good wages.
Yeah.
And so, part of the game for them is they want to keep prices low.
Yeah, so
right?
It's kind of a business move, or it is a business move, not kind of. That for them to be able to give the prices they have to keep their wages low. Mm-hmm. And okay.
So if you can imagine the story here, right? You have a bunch of mom and pops that supply different goods. A Walmart enters that town, starts selling very similar items at cheaper prices. People, like they normally would want to buy at the cheaper price. Then they start buying stuff all at Walmart because Walmart's very convenient. You can buy virtually everything you need there. That mom and pop starts to go out of business because not enough customers are going to their business. They shut down. Now the only place that you can get your goods from in that little small town is the Walmart. So what happens if Walmart shuts down?
Uh-oh.
Right? So that's what I really wanted to kind of dive into to see what the real consequence of that is. So one of the things about Walmart, as far as when they enter into a neighborhood or a community, is the lower wages part. The other part is what I mentioned earlier as far as outbidding people.
Yeah.
Recently, and by recently, looking at last year's reports for earnings, Walmart has been in a constant decline in profits. And so in addition to high inflation, increased operation costs, and elevated inventory levels are major concerns for Walmart. So they're feeling inflation like we are.
Yeah.
And so what is driving some of these factors is fuel, right? Fuel is a big factor into why it's eating away from Walmart's profit margin. Another one happens to be the operational costs, which what is that? What is that specifically? I think it's resulting in overstaffing that they said. Okay, so overstaffing, increased operational expenses, which I don't know what that means as it relates to, specifically what does that mean? Walmart continues to increase the market share in food and health. I did see that they're really trying to boost up their grocery section.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Like fresh grocery items.
Right, which happens to be one of their top selling categories. However, the company sells more low margin commodities such as eggs and bread and fewer higher margin items such as apparel, electronics, and diapers.
Oh, no.
So that makes sense, right? People need the food, but I think there's regulations on pricing for food. if you guys don't know, grocery stores don't typically have big margins. It's not a high margin business, so they really rely on volume.
So that's not just a Walmart thing.
It's not just a Walmart thing. That's Kroger, it's HEB, that's any grocery store. So if you're in the grocery business, it's not a high margin business. So that's really bad if they're saying that the grocery commodities are Walmart's high selling products. That's not good for Walmart. I mean, unless they can keep the volume high.
Yeah.
And then they also have high inventory levels. So, the inventory levels increased 32% to, was it 61.2 billion
Goodness. So was
in
that
April of 2022.
So those are in the non-perishables, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I think everyone got a little happy, not just Walmart, but other companies during the time when things were really good, or they were doing really well. They started over-hiring, over-purchasing inventory, spend money here, spend money there. People were buying a lot.
So I guess they thought that the surge after COVID was going to be high. Maybe that was it. Right? We're getting out of COVID.
They were stocking for.
And so this is going to be this massive surge. We need to buy up because I think.
Is that what you mean or no?
Yeah, because let's see if we read a little bit further here. So it says the company made aggressive purchases to stay ahead of inflation to ensure the availability of stock. Besides, some inventory remains in warehouses, especially seasonal goods, such as gardening supplies and plants, pool chemicals due to unseasonable cold. Oh, so they got impacted by the unseasonable cold weather.
It's been strange.
It's been very strange. So that's interesting. So Walmart was trying to prepare for a summer haul, right? Where people are going to start doing more gardening and stuff like that. And as we've seen recently, the weather's been all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Plants have been dying as soon as you try to put them out. And then all of a sudden tomorrow it drops down to 40 degrees, kills your plants.
Yep.
They can't deal with that. So that's interesting. So they thought they were, I'm going to be ahead of this curve. Inflation is getting bad. So let me go ahead and overbuy inventory at the lower price before it goes up high. But then you have all this inventory and no one's buying it at the volumes that you anticipated. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
So Walmart has this profit problem. So some of the solutions that they've tried to come up with is using robots in their warehouses and automation, very similar to what Amazon does, right? So it's definitely an Amazon type thing. So if you can go here. So they're testing this out in Florida. Now, why this is interesting is you have to think about the long-term effect of this. For Walmart, if they can get this right, that lowers down their costs and they're able to increase their profit margin. Mm-hmm. Long-term wise, the downside to the economy is that that's one less person that's getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
Right. So, even though Walmart is, it handled its problem, there's one less person that can buy goods and services. Right. Because you replace that person with a robot. And so Andrew Yang, if you guys can remember back in 2020, Andrew Yang talked about this as far as how automation was going to become a massive problem in the future. And I think we're starting to see some of that right now. One of the key points, and actually he still has this on his website. If you go look up the Freedom Dividend, that was basically his UBI, universal income, basic income. And so it was saying that technology is quickly displacing a large number of workers, and the pace will only increase as automation and other forms of artificial intelligence become more advanced. 1/3 of American workers will lose their jobs to automation by 2030. This is what he's predicting. This has been a potential to destabilize our economy and our society if it's not addressed. So that's one of the issues when it comes to automation. But if things are still going to get more tight, it's my opinion that it's going to push more businesses to go to automation.
Yeah.
I can't afford this employee. Let me try to cut some costs somehow. And I don't know if this is the right solution to that.
I don't know, but you can't deny the efficiency.
You can't.
Of a robot versus a person. The time, no bathroom breaks, no complaining, no taking off days.
They don't go on vacation.
No health care.
No health care. Well, you do have maintenance.
Oh, actually, so yep, I take that back. They do have their own.
They have their own type of. It's not necessarily healthcare.
Yes. I'm not saying there's all pros.
Yeah.
Absolutely not, because look what you're going to devastate a whole sector. Yeah, of people who work in that range of jobs. So.
What is your opinion on the freedom dividend?
I'm still trying to figure out what it's just it's a form of the universal basic income.
Yeah, so his idea was to basically give every American adult over the age of 18
I'm sorry, go ahead.
$1,000 a month. And as it continues, this is independent of somebody's work status or anything. So you can have your job, whatever it is that you have, and in addition to that, you'll have an extra $1,000 in your bank account because of this.
You know what I'm gonna say? Because of what?
This freedom dividend.
You know exactly what I'm gonna say.
It has the word freedom in it.
That sounds good, doesn't it? Freedom, and it even has the word free in it. But there's nothing that is free, ladies and gentlemen, about this freedom dividend. Where's that money coming from?
I don't think he has it written here, but if I can.
But it's just a suggestion. So is this another? Yeah. So I'm gonna cut some slack here, just because Andrew Yang is actually proposing solutions compared to some of the other politicians.
Yes, I believe when he was running for president, he said the money was going to come from a specific tax that he was going to implement to tech companies. Now, how great would that work in today's era where all the tech companies are getting their teeth kicked in? So, I'm not sure if
that's back when they were doing well. Yeah.
This is back when they were doing well. Now they're not doing too hot. They're laying off all their people and whatnot. So I don't know if an extra tax on tech companies was going to be a really viable solution here. But hindsight's 2020. So
yeah, it could be temporary also though. So as business, it has its ebbs and flows.
Yeah, I think. I guess you would need to. Well, that's the thing though. If all these tech companies are basically staying afloat because of debt, then they don't really have money like that. So increasing taxes on them where is that? They don't actually have money. They have debt.
What do you mean?
Like, all right.
Oh, like
a lot of these guys,
cash flow.
They
have cash flow, but
not enough, right? A lot of these guys the reason why they're getting their teeth kicked in right now is because of mainly the interest rates going up, right? Which means it costs more to borrow money, right?
Yes.
So if what you're telling me is all this stuff is happening, inflation, but really the fact that the interest rates are going up is causing you to have to lay off all these people, then that means you didn't have a lot of money, actual cash
in the bank
before. So this idea of using this, freedom dividend solution and specifically targeting the tech companies, now we're seeing that wasn't a very, good idea, or it wouldn't have been a good idea if it was implemented, because they don't actually have money like that.
Let freedom ring.
Maybe Apple does, but Apple's like $1 trillion business. I don't know, y'all. This is very interesting. So recession, right? That's kind of the word of the day.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's a lot of pundits on the socials talking about an inflation's about to hit and the housing market's going to crash, the stock market's going to crash, everything's going to crash.
And at first I thought they were just being negative and, okay, they want to get clicks, they want to get views, likes, attention. And it's like they continually are posting these things. But we've started to see it, as we mentioned in the beginning of this episode.
And you know what's really driving all of this?
What?
Bump everything I said. And, sorry for those who are watching live. You're like, wait a minute, you said all this stuff for the last 40 minutes. What are you about to say now? The main reason, right? Because all this stuff is bad, yes.
Okay.
But according to some of these pundits, the main reason why the recession is actually going to hit is because the banks are cutting down on lending money.
Which means people can't spend as well. They can spend as much if they already had certain loans.
If they already had the money.
Yeah.
But
even now, people who have the money are probably going to hold on to that if they can't get more.
Yes.
Because if they were doing responsible spending, they probably weren't spending all that they had. They were still borrowing. If you can't borrow anymore, that means the percentage I can actually spend is gone down as well.
And the amount of deposits that the banks have also goes down. Because that means people are using their cash. Which means if people are using their cash, that's less money available for the banks to lend out.
Are they trying to pull a 2008? Because
Well,
they just got bailed out.
That's what some of those people are thinking. Because that was kind of what the slowing down of lending money from the banks is kind of what caused everything to go to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Including so again, and that
they have money.
Well, that's the thing, right? I think if people are actually taking out deposits, right? They're taking out their money because they're using it now instead of using loaned money.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to cause another bank run, but we've seen the impact of a bank run with Silicon Bank.
Oh my goodness.
Now, we also saw the government step in, right?
Immediately. Oh, on a weekend.
Yes, on a weekend. So maybe a bank run is not something we should fear because it looks like the U.S. government's going to do whatever it can to make sure that these banks don't fail.
That's for certain banks.
Like a Wells Fargo or...
Yeah. Well, sorry, Wells Fargo, Bank of America.
Those Silicon Bank wasn't a huge bank.
They're not a huge bank, but they're for a specific subset of people or companies, I guess.
So you're saying they wouldn't bail out like a credit union?
They did not answer that question directly when I've watched different speeches that they've had. And when I say they, I just mean like either the Treasury Secretary Yellen, which we'll hear from a little bit in a
you got some for us?
Yeah, and then even from Jerome Powell, our federal chairman, they haven't answered that question directly. They just said if the impact is measurable from their estimate of what would happen if that bank could impact like the community, then they would have to save it because they're ultimately trying to make sure that overall, there's not high inflation and then, of course, the employment and jobs thing. So, I don't know.
Well, let's see your video.
Let's do an intro to that. So, I want to get your take on this. It's really not funny. This is like a nervous laugh or something. Inflation and recession. You mentioned some points here about Andrew Yang having some viable solutions, and that actually is something tangible for the people. So I can't criticize that. I don't believe in free cash. However, when they did mention that with the stimulus check, I was like, if you give it, and I'm eligible, I'll take it, right? Because it's obviously something needed, and a lot of times you do need to get money to the people, especially those who may not have a job or know how to secure something else outside of a traditional job, like our podcast or something else, right? So people need to be able to get cash. Now, the government has their own idea. I say all that to say, Yellen, you will hear from a minute, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, I think her attempt, my opinion of it is she's trying to keep us calm as they've continued to do. Because, it wouldn't make sense if the government officials were going crazy anyways. But I think they're trying to make too much of a positive outlook on this. And she gives us some ideas.
What is she talking about?
She's over here at a spring meeting before the international... Well, she's heading over to do an International Monetary Fund meeting or something with the world leaders about inflation globally. And she wanted to talk generally to you, just the U.S. citizens first, about
inflation?
She touches on inflation, and it's a really short clip. I'll just play it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the States, our labor market remains strong. Our unemployment rate is near historic lows. Inflation remains too high, although we've seen welcome signs over the past half year that inflation is moderated. As we tackle our immediate challenges, the United States is also making historic long-term investments in the productive capacity and resilience of our economy. For example, the Inflation Reduction Act is spurring a wave of clean energy investments, which will have significant positive spillovers across the globe.
Okay. I don't really know what to make of that.
And that's what I was gonna say. What is that supposed to mean? So they start off saying, okay, the economy is going to remain strong. We're going to be resilient. All this other nonsense. Okay, well, we have low unemployment rates right now. I don't think that they're calculating the people who stopped looking for a job. We always have to throw that in there.
That's true. They don't typically count those folks, and that doesn't include what's about to hit, this month, next month with all the layoffs.
Yes.
So that's
the jobs report next month is gonna be nuts.
So that'll be interesting to see how that looks. I don't know. Are they counting gig workers as employed?
I don't think so, because it just counts as a contract or side job.
All right.
So I don't know. So a bunch of people with like part-time and gig work. But I was wondering what she said at the end there with Inflation Reduction Act. I'm like, what is that? So I went and took a look. And especially because she said something about climate change and all this stuff. And I was like, okay. I'm thinking back to your notes here, and you just discussed here with our audience about Andrew Yang talking about tangible results, cash money getting into people's pockets. Mm-hmm. And now Janet Yellen is talking about the Biden administration's plan to help with climate change. How does that help people get money or survive?
I guess
with their household income.
I guess she's saying that the investments would create jobs.
So I wanted to know what these investments were. Yes. So I went over to...
I had to guess.
Yeah, the Biden's thing. It's really long here, but I won't read the entire thing and bore everybody. They have like a whole Inflation Reduction Act guidebook. But the notes that they have here, it looks like...
Inflation Reduction Act.
Right? The focus here, under there, if everyone sees clean energy. And that's not to say it's not a good investment and that's not important. It is important.
That is one of the platform points, though. He did run on...
But during the economic downturn, we're going to focus on clean energy and climate change.
Okay, so what
even
is
with the weather, like the weather happening and all that stuff, that's very important.
What does it say here? It says Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act into law, making the most significant action Congress has taken on clean energy and climate change in nation's history. Yeah, this is something that it would maybe
I had to look twice. I was like, am I still reading the Inflation Reduction
Act? Maybe this is my ignorance, but I don't see how those things are connected.
I mean, I was like, maybe I clicked onto the wrong. You know how sometimes tabs open, you go to the next thing.
Yeah.
It's still that page.
Nah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. That sounds.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, continue if you want from another.
I'm skimming here. I'm just trying to figure out, like, unless you're telling me that this is Biden's way on trying to boost more jobs. Yeah, here we go. That's
no. You mentioned something in there that I think is there.
Towards the bottom is right there, in that paragraph right there. The
Inflation
Inflation Reduction Act. So he's dumping in $370 billion in investments. Will lower energy costs for families and small businesses, accelerate private investments in clean energy solutions in every sector of the economy in every corner of the country, strengthening supply chains for everything from critical minerals to efficient electric appliances, and create good paying jobs and new economic opportunities for workers. Okay, so maybe what he's trying to do here, because what I didn't mention earlier when I was mentioning like Walmart and all that stuff, I didn't mention that OPEC has lowered their supply of oil.
Oh,
right.
Yes.
So maybe what Sleepy Joe here is trying to do is create more energy so that we're less reliant on oil. But here's the problem with that. Well, not a problem. Here's, I guess,
poking some holes into that.
Yeah, increasing energy, like electricity and whatnot, I don't see that being a problem.
It's important, but
clean energy's cool, no issue there. I don't know how that impacts like truck drivers.
And immediate impact, right? Like stuff that we'll see in the next couple of years.
Because they still need oil
right now.
So
like maybe long term, this is a great
but even still, though, we don't have electric semi trucks. And we move a lot of products through semi trucks
daily.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as getting products from here to there, what would clean energy do for that? If somebody has, an answer to that question, please put it in the comment section.
Oh yeah, please, welcome.
But I don't know how clean energy helps with transport of goods, because right now the vast majority of goods are being transported by semi truck, which use oil, diesel.
I mean, they'd have to force a change.
You'd have to make...
there's multiple ways to force things.
But I can't imagine. I don't know if that's feasible, because, like, think of how big the batteries are for a compact car. Mm-hmm. Right? The Tesla, the whole bottom of a Tesla is battery.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how heavy a battery would have to be for a semi truck? And then on top of that, you have to factor in the load when you actually put inventory on that truck.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's going to be a ton of weight. I don't know how that works.
And for multiple, you're talking about for each truck, that's what it's going to need.
It's going to, because the batteries are already massive in a compact car. I can't imagine the size of a battery for a semi truck.
So I wasn't even thinking of that inner workings. That's a whole other thing.
That's what I'm saying. I don't like. It's going to take a lot of, I don't know, to make that even a thing.
Yeah. I don't mean to be so critical of the government. It's just, we both work for the government. We know.
We have both worked.
So it's like, trust no one. But so I'm like, I wanted to know. I wanted to know, what is this more about, and this Inflation Reduction Act, and not to say they have to only speak about money to be affecting inflation, because there's a lot of ways that you can do that. Mm-hmm. But you make some very valuable, points there.
Energy is fine.
About the energy.
And creating more jobs is fine too.
If you're going to get the companies to do it. But I see here further down it said the clean energy tax incentives. So I was like, okay, I don't believe you. So on the IRS website, where I do my taxes for business stuff, I was like, let's go ahead and see if this actually works. But yeah, IRS has acknowledged there's been some tax changes. They haven't revealed all of them yet, but just a few here.
Geez, this is perfect government right here. Let's make a change in one branch and not tell the other branch that we made changes. That's perfect.
Yes. Exactly.
Such government.
So they're like, well, we're still working on it, but we're rolling out a few things that, what did it say? The Inflation Reduction Act.
You might need to talk to the IRS first before you start making tax changes.
Covers new and reinstated tax laws that will affect individuals and businesses, including a number of credits and deductions. So, yeah, a bunch of rules have changed. One provision changes the eligibility to rules to claim a tax credit for clean vehicles. So, okay, getting a clean vehicle for your car, those kind of things. But that just sounds like more of the, I don't even know if it was Trump or Obama who put it in place, where you could get the how much your truck weighed, like a huge one, 6,000 pounds. You can buy like a Hummer, and it's a business thing. But I'm like, so how does this help the people?
This is one of my agenda points.
This is a credit. So if the company gets an electric vehicle for their company, but you even said even if it's like the semi truck, they're not semi trucks that are electric available. But let's say there's a semi truck. So now when they get that, they're going to be efficiently transporting, and then thus they'll save money, and then they'll hire more people. Or how is that? What is Biden administration thinking? Or I guess, is the average citizen not really looking into it that far? It's not that deep. As far as they know, they've heard Biden saying he's doing clean energy.
So, okay. This kind of going back to the three main points that we said in the beginning of the show, right? Shout outs to callbacks. Consumer demand, supply chain disruptions, and a tightening labor market. As far as what you just asked, how is this clean energy thing going to, help with that? It doesn't help with consumer demand. Well, maybe it does. Maybe if consumers are demanding more energy, maybe these investments will help supply more energy. So maybe I'll give you a pass for that first point.
Okay, and if people are still looking at the companies for the, the support when they're like, oh, you're a sustainable company, you do clean energy or something.
Oh, yeah, that's garbage. What is it, the ESG ratings? Terrible.
Yes. Some people actually follow it, though.
It's garbage.
And they won't give money to companies that don't have the good rating.
No thanks. No, that's not how you invest. But okay, we're going to move on.
So that was one.
Supply chain disruptions. I don't know how that fixes supply chain, because that kind of goes into the semi-truck point.
Two. Okay.
So I don't know how that would help with supply chain disruptions. And a tightening labor market, maybe because you're supplying more jobs, although I don't know how many jobs, and is it competing with the amount of layoffs that are happening?
That is a great question.
And the people who are getting laid off, can they do these jobs that you're creating? Because I don't know what these jobs are. I don't know what skill you require for some of these clean energy, you call them a plant or
And I guess it just depends.
It depends on what it is.
The solar plants.
So we talk about this in such
excellent point.
But we talk about this in such vague terms that I don't even know what we're even talking about. What are these? What are these jobs? Are these engineer jobs?
Are the people who got laid off? Are they going to be able to get transferred into these new jobs, or these different jobs that are requiring other skills and are new people getting hired? And even if it is different people, is the number comparable? That's an excellent point.
So yeah, just to try to pin it down to would it help inflation? Since you called the thing, inflation, whatever they called it,
Inflation Reduction Act.
Inflation reduction, since that's what you called it. I just don't know. Someone has to sit down and explain to me how that makes sense, because right now, logic and reason. Shout outs to the show.
Logic and reason.
It logically doesn't. 2 and 2 don't make 4.
And that's like my biggest pet peeves. I hate I guess that's like standard government move, right? Okay, we're going to label it this, and inside it's actually going to have a bunch of other stuff that we want to do. But I mean, the start of it, I guess I have to pull up the whole act when it gets completely finished or whatever they've done and added to it. But usually you pretend, at least in the beginning, oh yes, we have all these, we have specific jobs, we have money, we have, this plan. Y'all didn't even pretend. The first line item is clean energy. For Inflation Reduction Act?
Yes.
Okay. Because that makes sense.
I mean, yes, the climate and global warming is an issue, and yes, our climate has definitely shown us that it does not like the things that we've done. I think
that's
everybody's
a separate issue. That's not inflation.
That is a separate issue, and I think we have I think the inflation thing is probably in people's faces immediately. So they as far as being able to see beyond that to look into, our planet's deteriorating. That is an issue that does need to be resolved.
Which one? The inflation or clean energy? Oh, clean energy.
The clean energy and the planet. But here's the problem with clean energy. This is what I would tell a lot of folks too who are really gung ho about clean energy. The main issue is that it's not a problem that can only be solved by the U.S. Even if we were the golden standard for a lot of people, the unfortunate circumstance is the fact that other companies like India and a lot of countries in the developing world have not received their industrial boom. And so we're on our high horse. Our industrial boom happened back in almost 100 years ago.
It's been a while. We're enjoying all the fruits of that.
And we built on that. There are a lot of countries around the world that have not gone through their industrial boom yet. I don't know if you guys have ever played the game Civilization, but every civilization has different eras and different technology trees that they have gone through, and some of them are behind others. So to try to get that country to say, hey, you can't burn coal, you can't burn whatever because it's hurting our planet. It's like, well, look, we want power, and we don't have the technology to create a whatever.
And who are we to say that now? Oh, we want to save on energy and electricity. Nobody here is going to save on electricity or share, air quotes, share electricity with countries that are used to having blackouts on a regular basis because they don't have stable, electricity. There are some places that are, they're very standard and certain more wealthy or affluent areas, countries have things for certain people. But on a wide scale, you're right. Why would those countries now agree after we've had our turn? I don't mean to pull it's not fair card, but really it's that's really arrogant.
Well, but that's the reason
and
why.
And what are we actually giving up?
And that's part of the reason why you're not seeing a lot of adoption and compliance, because people are just like, well, look, we don't have all the money in the world. We can afford to build this. And so we want power. We're going to build this.
Yeah. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to do it. I mean, you're going to have to put some kind of sanctions or penalties to stop them, because who are we to tell them, okay, well, you never get to actually have your industrial boom. Yeah. You guys don't get any complete running water for on a regular basis. Continue doing your, water.
Through a well type situation.
Yeah. Pull water from the well. Struggle. We'll continue moving on forward, advancing, and having high speed internet. And we're gonna send out to our rural areas and make sure everyone has cell phones and the best towers, 5G, and all this stuff. And you guys can go ahead and stay back and start doing the clean energy thing to help the world overall, because we need to save for the footprint. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna collect a few cans on Saturday and go get paid for that, actually, for the recycling thing. Is it true or is it not true? When I went into to get the new ink for the printer the other day, and they said if I bring back the old cartridges, they're gonna give me money. So we have incentives for recycling. So there's some stuff we can do, but I think that I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna let you go.
Okay. Yeah, we might run that into a whole another episode.
Yeah. I think I just went off on the clean energy thing because I was hoping a little too much when I opened up the Inflation Reduction Act. I'm not for
it was completely random.
Yeah, I'm not for either party. I just want them to care about the economy. I don't like when the government is trying to throw little red herrings or get us distracted on other things.
Yeah.
Everybody can get on the point about economy, making money, getting jobs, and the money for your family, so everybody can raise their family and have a good life.
So I think,
or they can start reducing prices of stuff. But universal basic income is not the answer. Random free checks, no.
So yeah,
balance the budget. Stop spending so much money for the government.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna probably end on a couple of points here. I think we learned from COVID that stimulus checks don't really do much. And although it felt good in the short term, most, if not all of that money ended up going to big businesses because they're the ones that produce goods. So
true.
It ended up going back to them. I think what we need to figure out a way is how do we get folks to get consistent money? I think how do we get people to get consistent money is one. This pricing thing, inflation has always been around. And some of people's solutions to paying off debt is actually to cause inflation.
Oh, yes.
Right, because then
the Federal Reserve, they did have a part.
Because then it kind of makes your debt a lot smaller if inflation happens. So there's people out there.
There's always gonna be a little rate of inflation, yes. Just like the unemployment and employment, the Federal Reserve definitely. The monetary policy stuff.
So there's an incentive there to continue with inflation. But yeah, we have to figure out how do we get our populace to get more money. Because I think that's part of the reason why we're in the situation now is the fact that for the last 5 or so years, inflation has gone up, but people's wages have been, for the most part, stagnant.
And people are getting angry.
And I don't know what I don't know what the full cause of that is. I don't know if it's because a lot of people say a lot of things, and you hear a bunch of stuff. You hear people say, "Oh, it's because they're giving all the money to shareholders," or "Oh, it's because XYZ, blah 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 blah, something from Saudi Arabia and OPEC increased price, and it's a war in Ukraine." There's all these different things that are tossed around.
When everything was Ukraine's fault,
right? But we have to figure out a solution to being able to get people to have more consistent money, because a runoff check is not going to do much. We have to rein in prices. Housing definitely needs to get worked out. The fact that rent continually goes up every single year, I know that tends to be the nature of the beast, but that's if anything's causing the most issue, it's the fact that people, their wages are still what they are, but your rent went up by 15%.
It's getting exorbitant. Yeah.
Right. Your wage went up by 3, but your rent went up by 15. Eventually, you can't live there anymore.
Yeah, and as well as being priced out of trying to get a new mortgage on or getting a house.
Right. So. But you have to. But you're kind of like incentivizing people to still be in cities because that's where most of the jobs are.
Oh yeah.
Right, so it's like,
you have to pay the higher price to live nearby.
And so you live like, a peasant living in the city, but you make all this money.
That you give right back to the apartments.
Right. There was a little chart that we saw.
Oh, no.
What was that chart that you showed me a while back, actually, of 53% of Americans don't have an emergency or like emergency fund.
Oh, was it that one or was it the stock portfolio or the?
No, it's an emergency savings. Excuse me.
Oh, of at least $500.
No, of just any.
Oh.
Right. It was by CNBC, and they said that 53% of Americans say they don't have any emergency savings. And out of the people who did, so that would be the 47%, about 8% of those folks have emergency savings of about $1,000.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is about 38% of those people have an emergency fund of $20,000. So it seems like you're either doing really good, or you're living paycheck to paycheck, and you're just making ends meet. There's a lot of gap in between there. So that is a thing, and maybe we spin it off into another episode. I know we're about we're past an hour now.
Yeah, but we're just getting some people tuning in now. I'm like, man, you guys come in late. So do you want us to start off to really warm up at 45 minutes? Because it seems like that's when people start tuning in on it. No. But I would, before you end it off.
Sure, go ahead.
For some kind of solution, with our logic and reason.
Yes.
And that would open a whole other topic. But I would like to say people should still have hope. Continue working. Continue trying to save. Looking for better opportunities, but also work together. Because I think this whole money thing is really dividing folks, the economic problems. And if you work together, you can have more, as far as marriage, family.
See, I'm always trying to bring marriage and family in conversation. Every single conversation. People should form families.
Isn't it helpful, though?
It is.
I have to throw myself under the bus again.
It's a good. I remember it was one of the jobs I was in years ago.
And really good friendships and close friendships that are like family.
Yeah. This guy I think he was talking to me, and he was like, I don't know how we got into this conversation. He was like, "Oh, you're single?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm single." And he's like, "Man, I don't know how you guys can do it out here. Like, you need two incomes because it's like it's rough." And that was like years ago.
Oh gosh, he said that to you?
Yeah, and I was like, because he was married, and he was like, I don't know how people are single out here, making ends meet. And I think a lot of us have roommates, or we're still living with parents. So the real answer is we're not living,
or just forking over 75% of our income to the rental, or housing situation.
Yeah. But yeah, we're not out here. We're not self-sufficient.
No, you're not meant to be alone. That's not how God made us. I'm not pushing God on everybody. I'm just saying that's not how God made us. You have to work together. It's better for you. And that will be the end of my rant on that part. It's not a rant.
So that is Mel Melissa's advice to everybody as we head into this recession to, stick together.
Yeah, because the media will have you divided and saying, oh no, it's the Republicans. Oh no, it's Democrats. Oh no, it's actually men. Men are the problem. Women are the problem. It's like...
Yeah, that's right.
And it only serves them because guess what? 2024 is coming and they're going to say, I can save you. Vote for me and I'm going to give you this long laundry list of stuff. They all liars. I'm out. I'm going to leave them alone. And we'll do more episodes hopefully on the Inflation Reduction Fake Act. That has nothing to do with helping inflation.
All right, so that got you going. All right, you don't like
liars.
Fake bills. All right, let's get it.
What are they doing up there in Washington besides taking money?
I don't know what they're doing. I mean, look.
Soon they'll be on recess, like their children.
Actually, one of my coworkers told me today that there was some bill. She didn't tell me what state it was, but they finally passed a bill where it was allowing people to being able to marry off their 13-year-old.
Oh goodness.
And I'm like,
okay, that's not where I was going with the marriage.
But no, I bring this up to say, the reason why I say I don't know what these people do is because it's like you would think that you would want to focus in on key issues that are impacting the vast majority of us, and then you're doing some crap like that has like relevance to 5 people, maybe. It has nothing to do, like if you're spending your time doing gun control stuff, I can see, okay, we've been kicking that can down the road for years. I don't know what we're ultimately going to do about that. And maybe that'll be a whole nother episode. But yeah, we have a lot of, I don't know what our Congress people do. And And quite frankly, I think that might be something that we have to look into as far as like holding these Congress people accountable.
They only do what we require, and some of them are working really hard out there. I won't take anything from that, but we need to keep them accountable.
Yes. So as this,
they work for us.
As this inflation thing hits, try to hold some folks accountable, and also make sure you like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe. Tell them about the show. If you love the show, they probably will too.
See you guys next time.